What's up, YouTube? 2020 Tantra on Amazon. Info in the description. You can also catch me on Instagram. That info is also in the description. So, polygamy and monogamy. First of all, there's only one relationship that is with the source, or what you might call yourself, whatever. The only relationship is with the source. All other ships or relationships reflect that. So, even polygamy is monogamy, because there's only one relationship. They're all reflecting your relationship with yourself. So at the end of the day, we could break this down in so many ways. Monogamy, as it stands as itself, monogamy or mono will be one. So that's why I say a relationship with yourself, everything reflects that. That's the one relationship. You obviously have relationships with all different types of people throughout your life, male and female. So there's obviously not one relationship. The one relationship is with the one that you have with yourself, and the way that you've met yourself determines the way that you meet other people and determines the dynamics of those relationships. So obviously there's one relationship. That's monogamy. Even if you have 30 wives or 30 husbands, that's all based upon your relationship with yourself. So that's just a reflection of that initial relationship. So there's only one relationship. It's always monogamy in that sense. But the monogamy that we're being sold, as far as one male and one female being together for their entire life, is so many ways to look at this too. Because if you've had sex with more than one person, are you really a monogamous? Because as far as what are you saying, that monogamy begins at paperwork? So do you have to be married? Or so if it's just sexual activity, you've had sex with more than one person, that makes you polygamous. So if it's only been one person in your life, that will be monogamy. Like as far as the animal kingdom, like an African gray or a penguin, something that's with one partner for their entire life, that one partner, and they'll die before they're with another partner. That is that form of monogamy. So this is so many ways to look at this one thing. So monogamy, in another sense, you could look at it in a romanticized way. Roman being Saturnia. Rome is Saturnia. Romantics. So in a romanticized way, or however you want to look at it, Eurocentric or anglicized, however you want to look at it, the way it's been portrayed in this light has been one-on-one, right? That's monogamy. One male, one female. That is what the definition of monogamy has been. And I guess it would start at marriage. I don't know when the starting is. So if it starts at marriage, okay, that's the beginning of monogamy there. You're with this one person for this duration. I guess ultimately you have one penis and you can only be inside of one person at a time. So in a physical way, you can only be with one person in that sense. So ultimately it's always going to be one at a time, one way or another. It's going to be the relationship with you determining all other relationships, and you can only be with one person at a time, essentially in a physical way. So you can be with others, but you can only be in one at one time. if you realize this. So these are the ways to look at monogamy. So as far as the one-on-one way, in a lot of ways, that has been used to control the breeding of the world. It's been used as a barrier of love, because we're saying this is the definition of love, and anything that's not this isn't love, which creates a problem in all types of stepchildren, because anybody that has stepkids or that has a kid already, you're basically saying that they're banned from ever having kids again, because that is polygamy. If you have kids with multiple people, whether you're not with the person or you're with the person, it's polygamy. You're having kids with multiple people. That's polygamy. So it might be dysfunctional because you're not together, but that's polygamy. So it would be functional if you was together. You could pool your wealth. You could raise your kids together as sister wives. And if you ran into a male that was more potent, he could teach your male how to be better. That's in a selfless environment. But we're really far from that. People are not really accepting each other. I mean, at the end of the day, people, if your wife stops shaving her underarms or whatever, as far as like that type of stuff, she wouldn't be accepted by you. And if you stop doing things, she's not gonna be, you're not gonna be accepted by her. So it's just, it's a lot of pettiness and a lot of selfishness there that that's already there. But for the conversation's sake, so people can look at this in the proper light, if we could really be selfless, then we could get rid of that love. I mean, boundary. It's a love boundary as far as like creativity. It's a boundary. We shouldn't be looking at the seed like you own it. It's a universal seed, and if you have a kid, again, you're bringing in a presence that was always here and will always be here. It's just coming in from the darkness into the light. It's now taking its body, its physical animated body. So you're just watching that process happen. If you do it consciously, then the whole life will be conscious, and then it will always consciously support itself. If you do it unconsciously, then you'll have to resort to unconscious forms of occupation, unconscious jobs, where you have to give up your presence to unconsciousness, to monotony, mono again. So you give your life up to the monotony, your presence to monotony. If you have kids unconsciously, because you that's just the balance. If you do things unconscious, they create unconscious ripples. You have an unconscious kid, then you got to go be unconscious at a job for however many years to get the money to pay for the kid. But if you do it consciously, then the kid will support itself. It will always inspire you. Everything that gives takes equally. So the kid will always inspire you. They're already inspiring you. That energy is already there. You're breathing it in already. That exchange is already there. It's just presence. So you're just bringing it from light to dark. So it's already there. So that's that. As far as polygamy is concerned, that would be a way better way of looking at it. If two people were the true pattern of Adam and Eve, and then they would welcome people in to observing that pattern, and then they can align with creation by either creating a portal, which is having a kid, or they can just observe intimately, as close as they can get, which many would call polygamy, until she gets to a point where she can meet herself, or the third wheel or whoever, they meet themselves, and then they can go attract their proper reflection instead of being a fragment to something. Not to say that it's a bad thing, because in order to be a good leader, you got to follow the Tao. And if you see the Tao being embodied, there's no shame in following it. So if that pattern is showing itself in a person, the Tao is showing itself in a person, and you see it in as far as how you could recreate your own ripples like this, then I don't see any problem in aligning with creation through polygamy, so that you can get reset, and then you realize who you are, and then you can attract your proper mate, and then you can start your own ripple. And basically any kids that you have are like a portal for your soul to return to this point, this respawning point, to remember itself. Because one way or another, it's a village to raise the children. So ultimately, I feel like it would be better probably if the female picked. If you have one wife that could train the others with you, and she picks them, because they're going to continue to come. As you become more and more attractive and you do everything together, as oneness becomes two-ness, you're going to attract more and more. So as they come and go, if you are truly yourself, then you select somebody that's truly their self, or you merge just because of the alignment. Then in order to remove any fickleness or any pettiness, you kind of got to trust her decision, in the sense that like she would be the one to select the sister wife. You just approve of it. You can veto it, but she kind of has to pick the girl, because if you try to bring a girl into it, then it's going to create that cattiness. But if you because you're going to meet everybody you're supposed to meet, so they're going to come. The people are going to come. So one way or another, they're going to come and go. So if you're doing it together and you pay attention, and if somebody that's really good that could complement, and you can learn from each other, and she could learn from the other one, and they could raise each other's kids with each other, and everybody can learn and pool the wealth, whether it be material or immaterial wealth. They could pool that wealth, raise the children. All the children would accent each other, because all the mothers would accent the different children. They'd all raise each other. Then there would be no boundary on love or color. And there'd be no definitions at that point. And it would be no separation in love. Moms are moms, dads are dads, everybody's everybody. It takes a village. Everybody's your brother or sister. There's no separation in that. And that all gets dissolved if you do it properly, if you do it from that place of really doing it for the children, because you're creating portals to return through, so you can share the knowledge itself, so that it can be shared back to you. It doesn't matter which door you come through or how you get through here or how you got to bend your light to receive the light, to express it so that a child can come through you. However that has to get done. However the light has to get through doesn't matter. They take their body and then, it's you raise them up to a certain point together and then you renegotiate and you continue to renegotiate and see who can stay and who can go and what the best space is. It's just space management. That's all it'll come down to. Space management. With any relationship, it's all space management. So it's constant, rigorous renegotiation. But for the first 7 years of raising the children, you definitely got to be there in the first 7 years. So and then for after that point, the same sex, if it's a boy, that one definitely needs to be with the male more so in that 7 to 14 range. And if it's a girl, then it needs to be with the mom. No one can teach her how to be a woman more than the mothers. So the space will show itself in the phases what's most appropriate, and everything supports itself if you pay attention. So it's just about selflessness. And if the females run into a seed that is more potent than you, then you have to be selfless enough to observe that pattern, or you lose your stable. That's it. 2020 Tantra on Amazon, info in the description. Yeah, and anybody that's the Tao, you shouldn't see them as a threat. You should see them as someone that you can absorb. Not absorb, but realize that it's you, so then you can absorb the pattern instead of us versus them mentality. There's only one family, one love, so why separate through these definitions? 2020 Tantra on Amazon, info in the description. Catch me on Instagram.